Hello and welcome back to the channel where we are again reviewing Doctor Who. It's Saturday, it's brand new Doctor Who day. I decided to stand for this review because, well, I'm too lazy to go bring the extension cord in to be able to power up the ring light instead of filming in my normal location, which would be about right here. And I said, fuck it, let's try standing for once. So yeah, Dot and Bubble. What did I think of this episode? Well, it's an alright episode. It definitely did not go the way I thought it was going to go. Or at least I liked the twist on it. For the ending. So let's get started. The episode opens up on Lindy, the new character who will be following for this entire episode, as she basically, as soon as she wakes up, she uses the dot and bubble, which puts a big 360 Yokomo bob around her head, which is a stand-in for your smartphone essentially. And so she's talking with her friends, and one of her friends, known as Gothic Pete, keeps mentioning that people have been going missing. So they immediately just wave it off. And so she's, Lindy's going about her daily routine. She listens to this song by Ricky Sunday. And while she's brushing her teeth, there's even this thing called Dr. P to let her know when and when she doesn't need to pee, which is interesting, to say the least. And so then we progress on with her day, and we learn that she uses the people actually use these dot and bubbles to walk. So it basically tells them when to walk. But prior to that, while she was brushing her teeth, the Doctor shows up. Because again, this is another Doctor Light episode. Kind of. We do see him and Ruby at the end because Ruby also is kind of like in this episode where she only shows up in the dot and bubble. And so, he's trying to talk to her, she doesn't know him, and he immediately gets blocked. And so, whilst then later on, whilst Lindy is working, Ruby shows up and tries to contact her, trying to say that she's, part of this program, trying to figure out what's going on, trying to ask questions. And Lindy, being the spoiled bitch that she is, trying to say, oh, how come you don't know this stuff, you're so stupid and all that shit. And so eventually she's like, Ruby's like, well, you're working. Who's in front of you? Who's in the room with you now? And so Lindy lists it off. And then as she asks Lindy to look in front of her to see if the people are there that should be there, and they're not. And so she finds that weird. And then Ruby convinces Lindy to turn off the dot and bubble for just 10 seconds or so to look to see about the person beside her. And so she does. And she sees this creature chomping on the person who was supposed to be there. And so she gets scared and puts the dot and bubble up. And then Ruby's like, okay, I need you to leave without using the dot and bubble. And it turns out Lindy can't, because she has been using the dot and bubble to walk as a form of GPS for so long that she can't do it without it, and so she ends up having to do it. And then as she gets to the elevator opens up, and it's a creature. The creature, however, doesn't immediately eat her, which is intriguing because the Doctor shows up as well. And so she manages to escape. She also puts down the dot and bubble for like 10 seconds to see the surrounding areas, and she's seeing all these slug creatures around eating a bunch of people. And so she gets scared and goes looking for a hiding place. And then that's when she recognizes the Doctor, and she's like, wait, hold on a second, I blocked you. And the Doctor's like, unblock, bitch. And she's like, but you can't. You can't unblock. And he's like, unblock, bitch. And so the Doctor tries to come up with a plan to get all these people to escape. And so as Lindy's doing it, her battery's low because apparently, even in this day and age, people still suffer from battery drain. So that's not great. And so she then basically gets, she tries to go to the place where the Doctor tried to tell her to go to before her battery died. And then as she's at the Plaza 55, 3 of the slug creatures show up. And she is trying to navigate, and then someone tries to get her to do it, and it's actually Ricky Sunday, because apparently he doesn't use the dot and bubble like everyone else. He'll do it to upload his songs and whatever, but as soon as he does that, he'll close down the dot and bubble and he'll stay in his apartment and he'll actually do normal things such as reading and keeping up with the learning about the planet and what his their ancestors did. And so they make it into the place that they need to go, and Lindy manages to charge up her dot and bubble, but Ricky goes to try and contact Homeworld. And that's when it's revealed Homeworld is gone. Homeworld is definitely gone, because we see a picture that says Homeworld, and we see one of those slugs. But Ricky doesn't tell Lindy. Now I'm going to backtrack here because I almost forgot to mention something. We do see Susan Twist this episode. And it turns out this version of Susan Twist is the mother of Lindy. And the Doctor and Ruby start to recognize her. The Doctor recognizes her as the face on the ambulance from the episode Boom, but Ruby's recognizing her from somewhere else, which is good because at last episode 73 Yards, that version of Ruby recognized Susan Twist, who was on that hike right away. So that's interesting. I can't wait to see how that twist essentially plays out for the rest of the season. So we're jumping back now. So they manage to go down. Lindy activates the dot and bubble again. Turns out a bunch of her friends are still at work. They didn't bother going. Ricky is there, typing in the codes to unlock the door so that they can escape. And then that's when the Doctor figures it out. These slugs are actually eating people in alphabetical order according to last name. Because when the Doctor tried to, when Lindy tries to talk to her best friends, most of them are actually offline, and then the Doctor, of course, using his sonic screwdriver, hacks into the call to try and talk to them to get them to leave. Most of them don't, and whilst that's happening, we do see Gothic Paul get eaten. Because of his last name being Paul. And Lindy's last name begins with a P, so she's worried that she's next. And so he starts going looking for who actually was next. They pull it up. She knows of Lindy, but aren't in the same circle of friends. She's talking about how all her friends have gone missing, and then we see her get eaten. And then the Doctor realizes, this might actually be because of the dot and bubble, but them being active essentially nearly 24/7 with all these people using them constantly, that the system would, evolve to hate these people and want to kill them, And so that's when Lindy's dot essentially turns on her. And so Ricky then goes to try and deal with the dot. But whilst doing that, prior to that, Ricky revealed that his last name begins with C. And so whilst Lindy is working on the rest of the numbers, she gets it open. Ricky gets hit with an anchor type thing, and prior to leaving, Lindy, the rich bitch that she is, because we learned that this planet is for rich people, that the daddies and mummies paid for, from the ages of 17 to 27, she rats out Ricky, saying that his last name actually is C, that she knows all this stuff, and so then he gets killed. The dot literally goes right through his forehead and out the back, killing him. Lindy basically threw him to the wolves. And so then she goes down, she sees all these other people survive, one of her best friends survived, and that's when we meet the Doctor and Ruby. And that's where something interesting happens. I'm going to call this the reverse of Everybody Lives. The Doctor explains it, they all explain that they're going to go out to some place, keep the fine town system alive, type of thing. But the Doctor's like, I can save you. That's my ship. It's bigger on the inside. I can bring you to a nice, safe planet. I can save you. Let me save you. And they're like, hell no. You ain't rich. You ain't a part of this. Yes, you managed to get me down here. That's all you're good for. You can fuck off now. And so they all leave. And then the Doctor basically yells because he's so angry that he can't save them. That he knows he can't save them. And that's what I love, because, like I said, it's the reverse of everybody lives. Just this once, everybody lives. Not in this case. Russell flipped it, because this episode is written by Russell T Davies, like most of the episodes is. I think next week is the episode where he didn't write. So yeah, then the episode ends with the Doctor going into the TARDIS. You know, he's upset, and the episode ends. So what did I think of Dot and Bubble? I like it. It's a good episode, but I don't think it's going to be one that I return to all that often. It's an interesting premise, and I like the fact that we don't know what these slug creatures are, what they're mainly like. We know that the Dot and Bubble basically wanted to kill the people, but did the Dot and Bubbles create these slugs, and why? And why did it go for Homer? Then why is it going for people in alphabetical order? We don't get to know that, and that's fine. I also like the continued Susan twist thing. You know, that's been going on since for a good while now. Since Wild Blue Yonder. So yeah. Next episode is the Regency episode, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that one goes. But that is going to wrap this video up. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below, as well as me actually standing in a video for once instead of, you know, sitting on my chair. Tomorrow there will be my weekly pickups. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you all next time.